FOSS user group in Natick, Massachusetts, and around the world since we're online. Um, I'm going to skip the introductory slide talk. I might come back to it, but I want to tell beginners that they can email us or phone us separately later, and that all the links that I'm using during the talk will be available probably by late tonight and certainly by tomorrow online. So you're looking online at a draft version. This is the final draft version. It's newer than that one. And from it, we'll trim it off to be the final version and post it sometime after the meeting. Um, we'll be back to the first item. In the FOSS news, a lot of it has to do with Russia invading Ukraine. Turns out that there's been a lot of spillover into our internet space and beyond. So, first item there is Ukraine crisis tests cyber warfare's red lines. Where don't you go? We're pushing the margin. There's a good article on it. There's a second one related to that, which is volunteers rally to archive Ukrainian websites. There's a lot of good information from the Ukraine that could disappear. And so could the backup equipment they have in the Ukraine. So this is the alternative. People are backing it up like crazy for everywhere else. Now that's assuming that we don't all get hit by something backfiring from the warfare that's going on online. It's pretty sophisticated. In the news, I'll mention one unrelated item. Court erred in Neo4j ruling, could harm open source. This one is about a company that has a database program that was open source, then a version of it was open source. Then they put in new wording for the license that it's on, and that wording appears to violate the open source license. Do they have the right to take something out of the open source license? Probably not, and that's what this article is about. Can you take back something you gave away? They're not saying they'll take it back. They're just saying they want to change the wording so they could take it back. That's the puzzle. So those will all be interesting. I don't think they're that central. So to what we're doing online. So I'll flag them. You'll have places to click and look and read, and we can come back to them if we do have time. Similarly, FOSS history. Man on the Moon, December 24th, 1968. They came out of the capsule, took a look, and saw that Earth-wise, Earth was rising. This one, let's see how much I have to set so I can do it. I think I'm set now. Do you agree, Jill?
I think so.
We'll find out. Good sign. This is back from 1968, but with color. It didn't have color. It was black and white. And then they took two more pictures in color. And the quote is worth reading. Oh my God, look at that picture. Over there, there's the Earth coming up. Wow, is that pretty? I think so too. Picture from the moon of our little marble. And the second two were in color, but the one that was taken a minute earlier was in black and white and much higher resolution. People have been mining that old picture and refurbishing it. And I thought that was rather interesting. So we can take a look at what's been going on there. And there's a good article from NASA as to how they took the new information and moved it into the old black and white using modern photographic tools. Well, that's nice. But darned if they didn't use expensive proprietary modern tools. Shame on them. NASA knows better than that. So later on, we'll catch up to some stuff about photox and a parallel trip. This is a good one itself, but we'll also do something like it in free open source software. Hot software, well, everything is about to hit. About the last week of April, give or take, a lot of things are due to release their once every 2 year long-term support version of Linux.
Linux or Ubuntu?
There's a lot of flavors out there. A couple of them have already released, but generally April on the even-numbered year is when most of those come out, not the ones that have all the latest improvements for the minute, but the one that some people will want to stay steady with for another 2 years and not update all the time. The choice is yours. I like updating, but not until after I've tested it, and I go switch everything over into that gear as my main version. We like Ubuntu Linux, and so do a lot of other people on this website. But Fedora and Red Hat and a good number of others are represented here too, just among our regulars and what they like. I think most of them are hatching this month, but later this month. That means they have betas out now for about a month of shaking out before the release. And they've probably since December or January, they've had something heading toward the beta. And the beta froze. They're not going to add any new features, but they may fix some bugs. And they've asked everybody to participate who's interested. So here's the Ubuntu beta. Its new name is going to be Jammy Jellyfish. It's always two words that start with the same letter. We're up to J. So
on the second time through the alphabet.
On the second pass, right. I think the first pass was more approximate. It bounced back and forth. Now they're going up letter by letter. Like many of the versions, 2022 means 22 dot, and the 04 means April. So you can read in the version number when it's getting released. And we can look at it. And this is information on it. Tell you what's in it, what's out, where the problems are, and how you can go download a copy if you want to play with it. Not unusual. And Ubuntu Unity is the version of Ubuntu. Ubuntu is a version of Linux, and Unity is a modified Ubuntu, a subset of it. And it's the one we like because it has an old look to it that we still like. Wouldn't you know, this is a new look. They're talking about the one that's coming out real soon now. And it had its feature freeze back in February. And nowadays, you can download a version from March 31st. That's the last one to come out maybe before the release, but it's already had a few modifications to it, not changing the number, but changing a little dot number out beyond. And this will give you some information, some looks. This is what I think it looks like, more or less, and it can be changed in many ways. It's a very nice user interface on many counts. And Ubuntu developed it and then moved on to another one, and other people have kept it viable. And I'm looking forward to that. But I downloaded it and put it on a thumb drive booted my computer from the thumb drive, so it's running from memory, not put onto the solid state drive yet. And then I went to use it, and I found out my touchpad was totally disconnected. It just wasn't there. I could move, well, that's not quite true. I could use my touchpad to move the cursor, but when I wanted to click on something, it didn't say it was on something that's clickable as it is there instead of here. It didn't do that. It stayed like this, and I could click it with any flavor I could imagine, and it just wouldn't do anything, go anywhere. Well, I could hook a mouse up to my laptop, but I normally don't. And I thought that would be a nice feature to have, the touchpad that I bought some years ago. I went in and looked at the fine prints, and I found a good article about the problem. And the problem is Ubuntu has changed something that Ubuntu Unity is having trouble getting right on all the flavors of hardware out there. So they have a bunch of computers they know it's going to run fine on. They have a bunch of computers where they know it's trouble. And I'll be emailing them one more to put in the gray area to take it out and say, it's trouble. Go look at it. And I'll help if they send me some samples. Now, this may be fixed in an hour, a day, a week, or possibly, I doubt it, but possibly still limping by release date, which should be in late this month. So I'm anxious to find out because we have clients who depend on us. And I'll just tell them, well, hang in another month, there's no rush. Unless it turns out it's a major flavor of problem, or unless something else turns out to be lovely and running Unity smoothly in a way that I can expect beginning users to get to, not just experts. So I'll wait and see which way we're bending. And by next month's meeting, we'll know all about it. And I'm sure it'll be on the NatickFOSS Discuss page, that website that we have available for anyone who's signed in and is a member. So I'm sure there'll be postings there as that problem gets solved. But what I won't be demonstrating to you today is the new version of Ubuntu Unity. I am, in fact, running on the prior version, which is Ubuntu Unity 21.10, 2021, October. Every 6 months is its cycle, but only once every 2 years is the one that they give long-term support for, I think, 5 years. So if you want to weld into one and never think about changes, that's a solution. We don't recommend that. We think you want to learn the changes, except for special exceptions. So that's the story on that one. We're not done yet. Ubuntu now has a way to get back to Unity that's easier than it used to be. And really? I don't believe that. We'll ask again.
Screened.
That's better. Somebody wasn't listening to me at the other end. How to install Unity Desktop on the straight flavor Ubuntu, which I told you was out in beta now and seems pretty good. So what's going on is Unity sort of kissed it off. Independents picked it up.
You mean Ubuntu kissed it off?
Ubuntu kicked off Unity after a while, and so many people liked it better than the things they've gone to that it got picked up by others and maintained. And apparently what just happened is it just went back onto Ubuntu Software Center with this easy install. And this is telling you how to do it. And looks like it's going to be a nice trip. So that's another option for what I may be doing a few weeks from now and talking to you about a month from now. We shall see. But you've got the clues for it. You can play with it too. in addition to that, uh, Unity has not only been based upon Ubuntu in terms of the uh, user interface, which it is, it's based on a different one, GNOME. And GNOME attempts to be a very stable, very reliable, and still somewhat interesting user interface. And here, a user is saying they're not too happy about it, and other people in a very interesting chain of conversation are giving agreement or disagreement. And I thought it was an excellent read for why you might want a better interface. That's how come we went to get one a few years back. And that leads into a next one. And Bob Premack is going to tell you a little more about it, but it's another updating issue for some users. Bob, are you ready to go?
Yes, this concerns people who are using Flatpak, which is based. It is used mostly under GNOME, although you can use it under other desktops, and it can be used under. What I'm going to try to do is share my screen.
Oh, you have to share your stick.
Just a minute while I free you up to do that.
Please.
Sounds good.
Okay, I've got entire screen ready to share.
D isn't working.
Just let me know when.
Once again, a guaranteed feature isn't working. Oh, well.
You have to go to your...
My conversation.
Right.
Here we go.
And there you go.
Are we ready now?
Not quite.
See.
This one too?
Yes, that one.
Okay. Yeah. Am I now sharing my screen?
It looks like it.
No.
Yes, you're going to have to unwind from that nested view.
I am not able to see what I am sharing through Jitsi. I am seeing an infinite regress screen.
Yes, exactly.
So you did
And
it.
that may be my problem.
Yep.
That just means you need to switch to a different tab or not have the browser up. You're fine now.
Oh, if I minimize my browser, we're good? All right.
Yeah.
Well,
or
then
just
let me
switch
do
to
that.
a different tab.
I am a little limited in what I can share. Oh,
You've stopped sharing.
Let me try entire screen. Now that will do that until I do that. Now you've got the whole screen?
No, not yet.
Well, we got your screen, but it's an infinite regression. So you need to find the tab that has what you want to share.
That may mean that I cannot do sharing. It was working, and now it doesn't work.
You were trying to share something other than browser?
Yeah, I was trying to share the entire desktop, and apparently I can't do that. Let me see if I can do this. Now you can see a document?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And so if I do want to share a browser tab, all I've got to do is stop this share and go over to share. Come on, share Chrome tab, and it will be that Chrome tab. Now you can see my Chrome tab.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what I'm going to want to share, but there will be a point at which I may want to share my terminal.
Okay. QVC said that they sent me a duplicate shirt, and I wasn't aware of it.
I'm hearing somebody's background.
Right, somebody's microphone isn't turned off.
Okay, well, anyway, the story is, let me get this up so I can see it. Are you folks now seeing the Chrome tab without anything blocking it?
Yeah, let's Linux Uprising.
Yeah. And you can see the how to remove unused Flatpak runtimes.
Yes.
Yes, looks good.
Okay. Even
Looks
with this
good.
in front of it, you can still see it.
Correct.
It's cropping
Okay,
the top a little.
It should be, because that's what's happening there. I don't have my I don't have that scrolled up there. Okay, good. I'll use that later. But what I want to do is get my little script here. GNOME 40 is expired. Flatpak runtimes need to be upgraded. And that's what this article is about. But it's not about the actual upgrade you need to do. Of most immediate note is the fact that if you want to do the upgrade, you should not start by removing the unused or expired GNOME 40 runtime, because the GNOME 40 runtime, if you remove it, you may be ruining some things if you haven't got another runtime installed. So the first thing you have to do before you run the Flatpak uninstall unused, what you would do is you would install the same from your list. You probably have org gnome platform, or you may have platform.locale. I had both. And you would want to upgrade those first. So you basically copy the existing thing up to the slash mark after x86-64. And instead of whatever it says, which is 40, you would do either 41 or 42. I added 42, and it turned out I already had 41 added. So apparently that happened when I wasn't looking. But here's what the problem is. If you just run Flatpak uninstall unused, you get an error which says that GNOME 40 is pinned. And that is where I think I want to try to get to another article that shows what pinning is all about. Let me see whether I just have that. Okay. I'm going to go over to the man page from Flatpak. And if I'm lucky, I will be able to get the share to go over there with me. I will stop sharing, and I will get back to our Jitsi, and I will share Chrome tab, and now we want Flatpak. Okay, you guys are seeing Flatpak pin?
Yes.
Okay, and the idea here is, if you find that a runtime is pinned, here's the description. Flatpak maintains a list of patterns that define which references are pinned. A pinned reference, which is a package, will never be automatically uninstalled. That's why you can't do it using that command. And the runtimes tend to be in that category. So what you have to do is just do another copy-paste routine into the command line terminal, and you just you do Flatpak. You do Flatpak, and then whatever the item is in your list, you can do Flatpak pin -- remove. That unpins it, and that's what you have to do. I didn't realize this, but there is another workaround. If you want to, you can just simply specify the item that is pinned, and you can just simply do a Flatpak uninstall of that item. And that ignores the fact that it's pinned. So those are two ways you can do it. Unpin it and then do the full unused uninstall, or you can unpin and then do the full Flatpak Flatpak remove -- unused. And that's basically what I was getting at. And I think the reason what they gave why you need to do this is a security reason. So I am trying to unshare at this point. Have I succeeded in doing so?
Yeah.
Apparently so. Thank you, Bob. I have a question.
No, I
Yeah.
think it's still on your
Oh.
screen because it's,
Oh, we are.
It's
Let's see. Let me share entire screen. Okay. I don't have anything that will allow me to unshare.
See what I've got.
I did unshare the last thing I was sharing.
Right now, it looks like there are two of you, one a share and one your image.
Yeah, but I don't have an unshare or a share. We almost got to Dick.
I think we got there.
there we go.
Okay, there we are. Okay, yeah, and so now questions and comments?
That I hadn't switched back from giving you the item. Yes, I have a rough out of your talk in the agenda, as you can see. And in that rough out, I will have the one link over to the right and see if the wording is appropriate. And if so, send me the link you'd like to go with it, or send me the change that for the wording. We'll get it updated tonight that way. Okay?
Dick, you have it absolutely right, because the only other link that I used was the man page for PIN, for Flatpak PIN.
You don't want me to have that in here?
I could send you that.
Yeah, why don't we up? And I'll put it in on this first of the two items, okay?
Okay, so I have to send you guys a link for Flatpak PIN command.
And now, as you know, nothing can go wrong. Go wrong. Go wrong.
That's right.
Okay. Let's move on from. Oh, I had another important question.
Yeah.
On behalf of beginning Linux users, normally they'll just be using one standard package. Am I correct in assuming they can ignore all of this because they'll just wait for the standard update?
With Flatpak runtimes, if you're using Flatpak, this particular thing will not fix itself. You have to remove it and make sure you have the up-to-date one. Because
it's running flat. So even if you're a beginner, if you're running Flatpaks, this is appropriate, yes?
Yes. Unfortunately, even beginners need to do this. There is command line involved, and you should take a little look at how to unpin.
In that case, this is unusual, and I'm very, very glad you got it into this month's notification.
Yeah, this does not have anything to do with the GNOME that you're using on your desktop.
Right.
It is a runtime that is used by Flatpak.
So if you're playing with Flatpaks, pay attention. If you don't know whether you're playing with Flatpak, yell for help.
Yeah, it's not like Ubuntu with snaps where you already have them. You have to actually go out and get Flatpak.
Let us spend a moment explaining that to the beginner.
About the fact that Snap is a subsystem.
What is Flatpak? What is a Snap?
Okay, the idea is that you want to have applications which don't have so many dependencies that you have to download and check for. And what Flatpak, Snap, and AppImage do is they provide a framework within which you can download packages that include all the dependencies you would need. Flatpak actually installs some of the dependencies with the Flatpak, what would it be called? It'd be Package Manager, with the Flatpak Package Manager. Snap does a certain amount of that too. It has a subsystem called Snapd. And this simply means all you've got to do is find the app that you want, download it, and download it through this framework. It would be Flatpak install for Flatpak. It would be a Snap install for Snap, although you could use the Ubuntu Software Center just as easily. That contains snaps. And then you would have the whole package, and you wouldn't be worrying about, is it going to show up missing a dependency and not fire up? So that results in having to update some of these runtimes.
Good. Let me try a very simple analogy. We call the bundle of stuff that you're running a package, and it includes the actual program you want to add to your existing programs, or the extension, or whatever it may be. But that in turn may require some additional underlying stuff that isn't coming from the same place. And they could load it all in, and now you'll have 2 and 3 copies of it from different things that you've added. Or they can make a smart package that knows that if you don't have it, they'll give it to you. If you do have it, they'll make sure it's up to date, or do so, and you'll be okay by the time you come out of the bundle. This is a smart package. To the analogy, let's take a regular package. I'm going to mail you a assembly kit with a lot of stuff in it, and I'll either ship it by UPS or the post office or DHL. There's a bunch of package handlers out there. The difference with snaps is, which tend to go with Ubuntu, but they're available for other use also. Snaps come with the knife to open the package. How's that for? So you may be stuck and have to do something on your own with the Flatpak that you wouldn't have to do with a Snap package. Does that sound like a good, simple analogy?
That'll work. However, one thing about both Flatpak and Snap, you won't be able to make internal changes to the code. That you can do with a normal package and its dependencies.
And there's arguing back and forth over who likes which. You've got a lot of them in general, and you can pick what you want. Again, for beginners, most of you won't be affected. Some of you will. And if you need help figuring it out, our once-a-month group has the all the way through the month discussion option. Just look on the main page and you'll find out how you do that at NatickFOSS.org. It's that easy.
Now, before we leave this topic, I think Jerry indicated he wanted to speak.
Yes, please, Jerry.
Yeah, I have a question. Snap runs a daemon.
Or maybe
daemon.
not.
I'm talking. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Snap runs a daemon.
Is Jerry there?
Jerry is here. I'm speaking.
Yeah, I can hear him. I don't know if you can.
I can't. Interesting. Neither can Jill on a separate computer.
Well, I have my sound.
Oh,
turned
right,
off.
right.
Okay.
Why don't you turn yours on? I'll turn mine
I
off
am
for the moment.
talking.
Mine is off. Interesting.
I did actually have to.
I don't think so.
I did actually have to change earphones, so it's a different microphone.
It says it's off. Okay, turn yours off. We give up. If everyone else can hear Jerry, that's fine.
Okay.
Catch up.
My question, again, this is for Bob.
Yeah.
Is Snap runs as a virtual machine. That's why you have the Snapd daemon. What about Flatpak?
Okay, Snap runs as a virtual machine. It has a daemon of its own, and also it runs in its own space. The question was, is Flatpak like that? And the answer is, I haven't really studied this, but I suspect that it is. Maybe Dennis uses Flatpaks and would know a little bit more. I'm not sure. I don't know the technical details very well about Flatpak.
Yeah, I'm going to be looking for.
Well, thanks. I propose that we compare notes in discuss and have something for next month as a follow-up.
Yeah, we should post that question.
So now, is it, are people back to seeing my agenda screen?
Yeah, but it's on top of, is this somebody else's
Yes.
screen? Because look at the stuff on the side here.
Let's see.
Somebody else is still sharing.
I think Bob is still sharing his screen.
I think that's so.
No, we've got JT up there.
Well, let me see if
We
I can.
had the same problem
Let's see if
before.
I can override it. Here I go.
Okay, we've got you, Dick.
That's a good sign. And now I hope you've got the agenda again.
Yes.
No, I've got your image frozen. And now I've got your screen with your initials as a black screen.
I can see the agenda.
Oh, okay. Well, then I know what I need to do. I need to do what I did before. I will see you folks shortly.
Okay. Meanwhile, most people can see the agenda.
Yeah.
Leave us proceed.
Yeah, your agenda's fine, Dick.
Photox is my favorite graphics handling program. It takes your almost good photograph and makes it wonderful, but it also manages your thousands of photographs as well. It can put on its own slideshow, etc., etc. So I like it a lot. And we talked earlier about that picture of Earth. Oh, it says Earthwise, and it should say Earthrise. I'll fix that too. Thanks for making notes. And I said that we had an independent approach to it, and that's going to be what Mike Cornelison did. Mike is the author of Photox, and Bill Ricker in this group, and myself, and Jill are apt to contribute ideas. But Mike does almost all the programming and is constantly making it more efficient. So what I thought I'd do, is it here? I thought it was going to be here, but I've got it spread in different places. We have categories in here, but often a topic covers 3 categories. So let me see. So let's see what we do have. Oh, that is it. First, I'll hit the Photox itself. It's got a new flavor out, and it's very nice. The whole introduction has been reworked. I think you might enjoy new descriptions, short overview, detailed overview, a live demo, sample images, and flavors you can go for. You can find standard flavors ready to go for some distributions. And in addition to that, you can go in here and find something that's apt to fit anything. Here's a long overview, and it's long, has a lot of ideas, and here's just a short list of just capabilities. It's immense. It does a lot of things easily with a touch of a button. Half of them you can watch and use the slider and decide how much of that you want to add. It's a lovely program. It's come out with this new version. Mike says you ought to have at least 8 gigs of memory and 4 CPU cores and 64-bit Linux, because it won't be as perfect otherwise. And the monitor should be accurate and high definition. That's what Mike says, and he's covering his bases. It will work fine if you've got that. It may work fine if you got less than that. So you can give it a try and see where it fits. There might be 3 things it does very poorly on your old computer, but 273 things it does just fine, and they're the only ones you'll ever care about. So give it a try. And there's a lot more information in here. one for every single item in it. When you click on a tool to run Photox, and why don't I do just that? Oh, I can't do that in this mode.
You can't?
Not from there I can't, from here I can. So I'll bring up Photox and load it. And that's how long it took, including loading a hell of a lot of images as an index. It hasn't loaded all the images, but I can go find them quickly and load the ones I want. So very quick on my up-to-date computer. This is an image from pretty recently, and there's a lot more where it came from because I'm sitting in a set from this year. It includes duplicates. No, it doesn't. Hang on, I can fix that. This includes the duplicates. So for instance, here's a picture, and here's what I made out of it. It's sharper as well as cropped down. So Photox can, let's see if I can find something even fancier to look at. Here's one. I've just started using a picture of our car as a little add-on I can put on the clipboard and slap into a letter I'm writing or about anything else. Well, the original one looks like this. I found it online, brought it in, and it's not quite what I want to slap into the picture. The label in the top corner is something I can change in Photox. I might want to see it, I might not want to see it. But instead of that, I wanted one that was going to be better fit for my purposes, and I wanted it a lot smaller. This is version 1 if you look at the label, or at the top of the screen where it says what I'm doing. I'm in Photox. I'm in this particular subdirectory. The name of our car is Car Bluey, but we live in Boston area, which is pronounced Boston, so it's Kaplui. And that's our car, Kaplui. So,
okay.
Pardon?
He just said okay.
Okay. So this is version 01, and I went further and made a tiny one. That's the one I can slap into the letter I'm writing. It takes up about 2 lines, and here it is a little bigger. Whoops. But let me take it down. It looks sharp when you get down to that size. And it takes up about 2 lines in a particular message I'm writing when I use it the way I like. So these are all examples of different things you can do with it. The one I want to show you is one Mike did with it, apropos of the article you can read about what NASA did at great expense. And Mike took the astronomy picture of the day. You're going to want to know about this website if you don't know about it. It's mighty nice. And he picked a different one. They have one every day, the best they want to offer to the public of all the different images that they're gathering on land, in space, with incredible telescopes, or sometimes just with a random camera shot that's wonderful. This is the one we're talking about from April 4th. And I thought it was amazing. I have seen a lot of pictures of aurora, and this one is just incredibly precise and interesting to them what knows. But it's also a very wide angle picture, and wide angle introduces spherical distortion. That's spherical distortion. And you can see it along the edge very much because the car and the road it's traveling on look a little weird. It's not the place in Iceland. It's the lens distortion. Up top, it's hard to see anything where you can prove it, but the same goes there. The symmetry of this aurora is not at all typical, very unusual. But we're in a place that's far north. It gets a lot of aurorae, and this is a win. It's a vortex aurora, magnetism playing in the upper atmosphere and the lower atmosphere. See where it cuts off? That's where the lower atmosphere cuts in and starts warming up a bit. And let's see, now I want to go to Mike's version of same, which I think I can do with a little prestidigitation. I may have lied to you. I'm going to come back to it later. We're taking time here, and I'm playing with a new method of switching that's good for most things, but I think maybe I'll pull that out at a later date and in this a later time in this talk and get it ready for showing in a different manner. Okay, so what he did was he took that picture and he enhanced it greatly using Photox. Well, I just had a thought, or maybe I can do it live. The way he did it, let's try that. I would like the one we're talking about, and you never know, I might have the picture I want. Oh, but it's from way back when. I might have saved it way back when. So let me instead do a search. I'm in Photox. I will say meta. It's going to be in the metadata that we're looking, and we'll search it. And I think Aurora might do it. So we'll go away. That little extra list shouldn't be there. I can take that away, I think, with a click and a click. And in the text, I'll say, and we'll go search everything in here to see which ones are a match.
Nope,
Well, found one I didn't want. It's very nice. I claim I have it in here. And I'll bet it will be, oh, it should be in the new ones. Okay, back to the normal game. That was from back when. But I claim Mike should be here. It'll start with that one that we had. That's embarrassing. I thought that would get it. Well, there's more than one way to do this, isn't there? I can go right back where I came from, meta search. Oh, I'm in the ones from year 2020 at the moment. Curses. 2022, that sounds pretty close. And let's get a fast bar here. Go way down. Come back. Should be pretty recent. Should. What a great demo. Well, it's a good demo of the scrolling.
Murphy's Law of Demos.
I'm looking for that same picture we saw of the aurora. I have no idea why it didn't come up in the search.
Because it's...
That should be in its title, right?
Right.
We're back far enough. That's not going to cover it. Whatever date it was taken is probably where it's hiding.
I'll take
one more quick try, and I'll search for something other than that. Astronomy. I most surely marked it with that. So the Photox, the meta search, and take out the one that it doesn't like, and instead we'll go down here until we find astronomy. These are all items you can add the way you like. Comes with a set that might not be the way you like, and it's easy editing. So I'll say astronomy. Let's look through everything, not a date range, and proceed. And we've got a lot of them, guys. And we still don't have the ones I want. I apologize, they're not in the Photox collection, and should be. To be continued. Anyway, great stuff. If you don't know about Photox, just go to it online. Just do a search for Photox with a double X, and I think you'll find it pretty fast. Let's see. Onward. We've been complaining a bit about GNOME and saying it's good and it's bad, and things are to argue about it. One thing GNOME does, it's a company with some money behind it. One thing they do is they encourage other donations just to fill in everything there is out there in free open source software land. Necessary. And
live streaming is on.
Good. So this is GNOME Circle, GNOME reaching out to help other developers help and to help users suggest places where developers could help. A nice outreach effort from the GNOME operation. And I like that kind of stuff. And in it, one came to my notice that some people might enjoy. We were just talking about Photox. How about one that just got released recently in its newest form for a drawing program, which allows a lot of things to get added in. If you're an artist, you can just pick the pen you want and start drawing. But you can also resize, crop, rotate an image, apply simple filters, insert or censor text, and manipulate a selected portion of the picture to do all the same tools, but just in a little section of it. And of course, you can draw using a pencil, a straight line, a curve tool, many shapes, different brushes, and lots of colors and options. And you can save it, bring it in and save it after you've modified it, whatever. And here's the recent changes. They've got a ton of things like it. And where you find them, woo, FlatHub is showing there. You've been warned. And I want to go back one, is all I want to do. I guess I can't. I have to go to the circle. And in the circle, applications. And here's where I found drawing. I just clicked on it. Deja Dupe Backups is a very popular backup program, often the default one. They're helping with that. And a bunch of other things, some of which some of us will recognize and some we won't. So I'm recommending this as an alternate, interesting source for some programs you might want to just look at. Some games, some everything. So you'll have the link. And meanwhile, you could just do a search on GNOME Circle and find it immediately. I think we can forget those for the moment. And this is the one I was looking for. I'll yet find it, but not at the moment. So that's those. We recommend Thunderbird as our favorite email program. We like it a lot. It's kind of middle of the road. It's got a lot of safety features in it, and you can add more. And good to know about. Well, Betterbird is taking aim at it and saying it's simpler, it's faster, it's more advanced, everything. A lot of little touches, and they're using Thunderbird as their model and building with it. That's all I'm telling you, except how to go look for today. Maybe someone else will give a report on it next month. And maybe it'll say something like, is Better Bird a complete disaster? Or maybe it'll say, wow, let's take a look. I'm just flagging it for now while we're flagging resources for finding other things. And let's see. And by the way, Mozilla Thunderbird is on version 9.9, and there's some discussions going on Developers Corner as to whether all computers will be able to read the version number when it goes to 3 digits. They're searching that out between all the many operating systems and how to do it best. So that's an interesting one too. They only just got to 99.
Y2K revisited.
Right. So meanwhile, LibreOffice is another middle of the road tool for us and our clients and our friends and a lot of other people. Not the only Office suite out there, but it's kind of like Microsoft Office. It's better in some places, a little weaker in others, and there's very often extensions you can add or tricks to make it work a little better. But this new one that just came out has 74 bug fixes. That's a lot for LibreOffice. So I'm going to say, let's wait a week or two to see that they all are snug, but then take a look because it promises to be even smoother.
Is that snug as a computer bug?
And that's, bugs out of thousands of operations. You might not ever get to the ones. I'm sure most people don't, or they would have been reported sooner. So it's interesting, and we'll find out more about it in the next week or so, because that's been released very recently. And my standard Ubuntu Unity download hasn't even updated to it yet. So I'll wait for them to shake it out before I do. Easily done, no great harm done instead. So why not take it the easy way? Linux kernel 5.18, release candidate 1. This is not yet out there, but for the heroes in our group, they'd like you to give it a try, and they'll tell you how and report back. And you'll have plenty of support if you do it. So that's an invitation from the Linux kernel boys, and that includes Linux Torvalds at the heart of Linux. So he'll be in on that with you if you choose to do it. RISC-V open hardware. Bill Ricker is the man. Bill, are you there?
I am.
I will give you a clear screen in a moment.
Oh.
I said, see if I mean it. That one. And now, I think I'm giving it to you now. I think I'm clear.
Okay.
Oh no, I think I have to.
I think that did it.
That's good. Now all I have to do is bring up what I was going to share. Okay. Do I get a share button? Share video, share audio. There we go.
Don't forget entire screen down at the bottom.
Yeah, I don't want to do entire screen.
Oh, okay.
My screen is the wrong size to share the entire screen.
You'll stretch off into the next county?
Yes. Or letterbox, tiny. There's a
RISC-V, I'm seeing you.
Yep. And this is open hardware that's designed to let you run your open source operating system on open source hardware instead of proprietary hardware. The consortium has been very slow in getting usable parts out for testing, only partly due to supply chain. Partly volunteers are worth every penny they're paid, sometimes more. But the one guy who has received a copy of this test board has put a report on YouTube that says it doesn't stink. Let's see. Is it okay? This is the .org for the open hardware. Let me. Can I just drag that over there? Maybe. No, it's the same one. Where's the board? Available boards. There we go. Anyway, it's they're currently shipping a one of these test boards is one of these test boards is a couple $100, still marked development, but fairly four cores and fairly reasonable. I'm just going to bring up the video long enough to. That's the board. I'm not going to play it, but it's a review. You can see that it's got 4 USBs, a video, an Ethernet, and a charging port. In the back, you've got a Raspberry Pi standard GPIO connector, so you can use things that are designed as accessories for the closed source ARM Pi systems with your Star 5 test board. It's I think this is 2 cores, and he compared it in processing speed in GIMP filter application to a 4-core ARM, and it was less than twice as slow. So that's not bad if it was using all the cores. But it's still, the warning is that it's experimental. Then there's this little cutie. It looks like a Radio Shack 100 slab top, except it runs Linux on a RISC-V. It doesn't have an RS-232 serial port, so you can't use it to debug old-fashioned terminals. But do you have old-fashioned terminals to debug anymore? Not really. This is only available as a kit because it is still a development item. But since it shares the same case, screen and keyboard as their ARM unit, you can pay them to assemble for you. It has an expansion port for a thermal printer if you need to be able to print receipts or things. The top case is off-white, but the bottom case comes in a choice of retro gray or translucent gray. There's the translucent one. And again, the kit price, translucent transparent, so you can see the board. The kit price is not including the fancy schmancy batteries, but is $239 plus you get to assemble it and provide those 2 batteries. But this is a single core RISC-V as opposed to dual on that other board. On the other hand, you're getting the LCD and the keyboard in your kit as opposed to just the board. So depends what you want to do. But again, experimental. It's not guaranteed to work, but you know, it like seems to sort of work. The first board ships with a Fedora micro SD with X-Face lightweight desktop. I'm not sure what version of Linux they recommend for this one. Just amusing. May turn into something
relatively innocent, but a bunch of power.
So I thought open hardware was a nice thing, and the Retro Touch was sweet. Oh, and the one of the Retro Tandy, their Raspberry Pi version of their product. The board version is 3.14.
159.
They didn't specify the next 3 digits, but you get the joke, all right.
Right.
I have a question. The chip itself is open source design. That means companies can just go ahead and manufacture it?
That is the theory.
And if that's the case, does it look like it ought to be as cheap or cheaper than, say, how does it compare? Could we get something like a Core i7 performance competitively?
Not yet.
But theoretically, yes?
Theoretically. The thing is that what changes the pricing is volume.
Sure.
The intellectual property fees aren't the big portion until you get to really, 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 really high volume, like those automotive controllers.
Well, thank you very much.
I have one other item for you.
Good.
The flea at MIT is back.
Oh, yes. You're down in a different place, but go ahead. Flea at MIT.
So that's the Draper staff member who had been godfather of the flea for 35 years died during COVID lockdown. So the MIT club and their alumni and the Harvard club and alumni and Tufts are trying to keep it going with somewhat less corporate memory than would be helpful to reboot it. But
no, everybody's microphone.
Well,
We've got some sort of breakthrough from other something else, but another conversation. But everybody's microphone except yours and Dick, Bill, is turned off. I don't understand it.
Sounds like Bill is using a speaker.
no, I'm hearing the crosstalk in my earphones too, so I don't know where it's coming from.
well, let me see if I can get to that flea at MIT. I'm not showing yet, am I? I have
Nope.
to set it up again?
Bill has to undo himself.
Bill, if you'll let go from the screen, I will put up the.
Well, I'm showing the showing it right now, but I will release.
Okay.
And if you print this PDF of the flyer, you traditionally get a discount on walk-in. I don't. Does it say that here?
Bill, all we see is black screen.
Okay. Strange.
Now you want to share.
I think I am sharing.
I
go
don't
see.
think so. And who's running water?
John Thompson's sharing.
Aha. John, could you turn off your screen sharing way at the bottom? And then maybe I'll be able to do it.
Where is John Thompson? Oh, there he is.
Yeah. He's good now.
Not good.
That's not good yet.
No, yeah, now you have to go share.
I know your type. You're going to want me in there and in here and all over again.
Yeah.
I need a better way to do this. I'm supposed to have a better way, but I seem to have unhooked it somehow. Better.
And we have contact, Houston.
So Bill has provided this MIT flyer for the event, and it sounds like it might be fun, and it might be a place you can pick up or lose some extra computer pieces. There's no show and tell at this, is there, Bill?
No.
I'm not seeing the share on your screen either.
Oh,
I am. He's sharing it and
here
working for me.
we're seeing it shared. Are other people not seeing a poster?
I am seeing it, but I had to leave the meeting and come back.
So did I.
Yeah, I reset. Now I'm seeing the share.
Okay, maybe that's necessary for some reason.
Frequently.
It looks to me like it's a great flyer, easy for you to reprint or to mail out to others. That would be doing a bunch of people a favor, I think. So pass it on. Anything else, Bill?
In open data, April 1st, the U.S. National Archives released the 1950 census.
Right. As a person that does a lot of genealogy research, I saw that. I don't know about other people.
1950, is that because of laws?
Yeah. It's a 72-year embargo on the personal data. Before that, you only get statisticals.
Right.
The deal with Congress on protecting the privacy that they promised the registrants was 72 years. Since if you're a head of household 72 years later, you're probably really, really old or not breathing.
Well, I may be really, really old. Is that a reason to dump my data? We'll see.
Well, were you a head of household already in 1950, or were you in 1950 college student listed on your parents' return, even though you were in another town?
Well, I wasn't a young married type, but I can think of a few that may have qualified.
Well, yes. I mean, if one gets married the week after high school graduation, one can be a head of household in 1950 and still be a head of household today. But they decided that 72 was a reasonable number.
Well, let's see. Was that in the agenda already?
No.
Okay, Jill, make a note, and Bill, send it on.
And
Bill knows where it is.
It's in the middle of indexing it.
Oh, but this time they used trainable AIs to index the handwriting so that there's a bad index that's almost good enough that we can improve, as opposed to having to start from scratch with microfilm like last time?
I hope it's better than the live translation to text that we've been watching on the news.
Mostly. They got my grandparents, they took a script G and read it as an S for George. So he was hard to find. But my father-in-law's name was mistranscribed automatically close enough that SoundX search turned him up as the third hit anyway.
Cool.
And my other grandparents and great-grandparents were transcribed almost perfectly. Again, good enough to find in the search. It really helps if you know town, county. For some of them, I had to go into the enumeration district maps and search just the right enumeration district because the surname was just too popular in the county.
To be continued. Well, thank you very much. U-Block Origin. Ed, are you on?
Let's see. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, coming through fine.
Okay, good. Super. Okay, well, good afternoon, everybody. The good news is that there's no more crashes with that. Whatever was causing the crashes was on the Chromium side. It was fixed in version 97. And on a side note, when I had mentioned previously that there were crashes occurring in the background with Chromium and it wasn't severe enough to cause the whole thing to come down, whatever was causing that was fixed in version 99. And the last crash report I saw was stamped March 14th, and I've had nothing since. So it's been, since 99 came out, it's been pretty perfect.
The best bug reports are those marked fixed.
Yes.
And,
And now I've since received version 100 from Edgia, and that's still running fine, no problems at all.
Great.
Excellent. Glad to hear it. And thank you very much for bringing it up and resolving it. Now we know that one is history. Good. Anything else, Ed, while you're on?
Oops.
Is that a no?
Okay, having a little trouble with the mic. No, that was it. I'm good.
Okay. Okay. Thanks very much. And back I go. We are making good progress. That was U-Block Origin. I mention that because the next one is Cruise Origin. Coincidence, you say? I think not. Bill brought up the other half of FOSS, which is FOSS, free open source hardware. And this is a particularly weird and interesting example of the electric vehicles that are adding more and more smarts as they go. And like some Teslas and other cars, they're aiming for a driverless car. You can take your hands off the steering wheel. But this particular car, after you take your hands off the steering wheel, they said, why do we want a steering wheel? Why do we want foot pedals? And they came out with a rather different looking design, which I think is coming up.
Yep.
And hang on. Admit it, that's a different design. And
Looks like the pilotless robot that delivers pizza.
yes, it looks like a joke image I have of a VW bus.
Bug, right?
No, a bus,
right.
where they switch the wheels around to the other two sides. It looks kind of alarming when you do that.
90
By the
degrees.
by, they've announced they're rebooting the VW bus as an electric vehicle, and it will launch in America a year or two after it launches in Europe.
I'll show a little of this just to get a feel for it. I think they get into it pretty quick.
Hey, it's Andy with The Verge, and we just got our first exclusive look at the new autonomous vehicle from Cruise. They call it the Origin. It really didn't look like any car I've ever seen before, and that's really kind of the first impression you get as soon as you approach this vehicle. The outside of it has the same dimensions as a normal crossover SUV, but that's really kind of where the similarities end.
I wanted them to open the door and go
When you
inside.
want to get into the vehicle, you first have to put in a code on it. It's a keypad. It's on the door on the outside, and it sort of opens as if like it's a minivan that opens from both sides. You get in, and you have a very spacious interior of the vehicle, and that's obvious because there's no steering wheel, there's no pedals, there's no gear shaft, there's not even really a dashboard or any infotainment system. There's just two bench seats facing each other in this sort of vast space in between them.
It's designed to be comfortable if it's shared, but if it's just you, you got so much space in here, you can really like stretch out, and it's pretty great. And so I think it's a good experience whether it's just you or a lot of other people.
Do yoga.
Absolutely, you can do yoga. Well, as long as your seatbelt's on.
You will have the link to watch that entire video, but that's it. There's not only no steering wheel, there's really no control center of any kind. And in addition to that, you have to look really hard to figure out where the motor or any of the other obviously necessary parts are hiding. It's remarkably roomy on the inside, and that's very interesting. Their plan, whoops, sorry, I'm in the wrong spot here. Cruise was an independent company that GM bought into heavily. Honda bought 20% interest too, apparently. They're funded like mad. They think it's realistic, and they think that it's apt to be a rideshare service real soon now. Real soon now being N in terms of an absolute number. But the point is, they said instead of making a car you don't have to be driving, why don't we assume you'll never be driving? What kind of a car would you have? Very interesting. What is it doing in our FOSS user group meeting? Well, do you think you design? That's very heavily computer oriented. Do you think you design it around Windows? Do you think you design it around Mac? All of these are very interesting FOSS activities. Some of them are spilling some code out to where you can look at it and put it to other use as well. So that sharing operation, imagine GM and Honda partnering. They're doing it on this. Very, very interesting. Now, that got me interested. We drive a Chevrolet Bolt EV, and the Bolt EVs are about as inexpensive a car as you can get, with pretty close to the full performance you can get. Always a trade-off, but it interested me for that trade-off, just like software does, and hardware. And GM, of course, includes Chevrolet, and they're going to be optimizing this. They'll be looking at other places that can partner in to provide things such as an efficient electric battery. Here we go. Next case. This is a brand new company in Germany. Doesn't have a whole lot of people in it. And it's gotten funded like mad because it says it's going to quickly be able to produce battery cells, what our car battery pack is filled with, and what your laptop is filled with, et cetera, et cetera. And they say they're going to be able to produce cells that have 3 times the capacity. They're going to be able to produce them at 1/3 the cost. They're going to be eco-friendly, not using a lot of those rare earths that require raiding some country or colonizing it or paying an awful lot of money, ransom money, to get it, and using it up. Instead, it uses much more available materials. And the production cost, the power you use to produce it, is something like 10% of the current cost. It's just a win-win-win-win situation. And they're going to produce it. It's based on sulfur, by the way, which most any country has enough of, and it's to spare.
Often.
And in fact, you can take it out of the air and do a good thing. And they plan to bring it out first for aerospace projects. Why? Because they have the engineers on the other end working with them to get it just right. And once they have the cells, they can pop them into anything. They plan on cell phones. They plan on laptops. And starting 2 years from now, they plan to work on putting them into EVs. They see no problem with it. They just think they're not ready to roll yet. Well, that 2 years is awful expensive in terms of climate control, and 2 years is an awful long time to wait to kick it in for one of the main sources of man-made pollution, the vehicles that aren't EVs. So I'm watching that. I'm going to bet that they will either volunteer or be forced to make the recipe available to others so it can run faster to save the planet. Capitalism versus planet, folks. We're looking at it right here. And there'll be an early payoff for our electronics. And there'll be a slower, but hopefully not 2 years slower payoff for EVs themselves.
There's been a tremendous amount of research on batteries, not only sulfur, but aluminum, iron, and all sorts of things. And even, solid state. Solid state has been worked on for years.
We've been watching it like a hawk.
Yeah.
For 2 reasons. One is I'm a very active environmentalist and tied in at the science level with other active environmentalists. But the second one is our Bolt EV, as many of you may know, is getting a battery recall. There are very few of them. I think the number is just over 20 out of all the ones that have been produced, have burst into flame because of the battery having slight manufacturing defects that pay off big time if you're an arsonist. You don't have to even be there. Chevy, it's an LG battery problem in the manufacturing. It covers 5 years worth of Bolt's manufacturing. And they started with the oldest ones, 2017, and they're swapping out every last one of them to make sure it doesn't have 1 or 2 out of its approximately 1,000 battery cells that were made the wrong way. Once they catch on fire, they can light the rest of the cells, and they're hard to put out because of one of those rare earths you pay extra for to be incendiary. So this particular battery one is the one I've picked of many. It looks like it's going to work, and the question is it going to fan out rapidly? That's the question.
Isn't sulfur awfully flammable?
Is it what?
Isn't sulfur awfully flammable?
This is a crystalline version of sulfur that will not won't have the particular manufacturing problems that led to a very small number of those battery cells making a very dangerous, embarrassing problem. Imagine that bolt being parked in a old wood in the underground parking for an old flammable apartment building, etc. So far, the
Or-
fires have been.
Or a large ship crossing the Atlantic full of cars with electric batteries.
Oh yeah, imagine that. So they're on top of the problem. They now know how to make ones that are better, but they literally stopped production for half a year on new bolts, waiting to get enough batteries to replenish the old bolts first. They now have enough, and they just started reproduction, so to speak, in this week. So this is news on a lot of counts. For me, it's kind of bad news. They're going to change the battery in our car before they could use a really good one like the one I'm looking at. Wouldn't I love to have 3 times 250 or so mile driving range before I have to charge?
Well, I mean, the problem I have with Tesla is I've got the 2170 battery, which is an excellent battery. First came out when the Model 3 came out. And now they've got the 8640 battery, which is tabless, which is actually quite a safer battery, but a cheaper one to manufacture.
There's a lot going on. This is the most attractive one I've seen yet, but I agree. There's a lot of work going in here, and it's going in largely because car manufacturing is a big bucks item everywhere, and because the pollution the cars are causing is immense. If you can get the battery costs down, electric cars, good ones, will be available for less than the equivalent gas-powered car.
Yeah.
And anyone driving electric already knows how fast they're saving money at the gas pump.
This month.
I think that's going to continue for some time to come.
I have an app that actually tells me because it knows my electric charges and everything else. But yeah, the batteries, in just the time I've actually had a Tesla, batteries have come way, way down in cost. I think that the latest Tesla 8640 battery costs about $100 per kilowatt hour, whereas the Model S battery in the old Tesla that I wrecked was about $300 per kilowatt hour.
Well, there's a big difference going on. Well, of course, the early entries were very expensive.
Early adapters always get
but just to flag a number for people, because my interest in the EV originally was the environmental one. Until I drove it. Oh my gosh, wonderful. But I'm from the environmental standpoint, the price has to come down a lot. And the reason we bought the bolts was the price came down a lot. The window sticker for 2020 was $41,000 and change. We went home with it after some discounts and some incentives from governments here and there. We went home with it for $26,000 and change, down from $41,000. The average 2020 car sale in the US was $40,000 for one car, average. So I'm looking at a car that's already in the run for doing a lot of replacement if they can provide enough of them. And this also allows them to drop weight as well. They can trade off that extraordinary long range for a compromise and have even, a more competitive car. So all kinds of trade-offs. I'm excited about the whole topic. And that was my best single example out of many. Now, And of course, that's all about our FOSS also. Those laptops are going to be running a lot longer, or they're going to be a lot lighter. Here we come. Will they be paper thin? There's a couple of parts in there that say no, but let's see what gets developed next now that the battery isn't a great obstacle for that. Should be interesting. COSPET, what is that about? Well, that's a random name applied to a smartwatch made perhaps in the same factory as the Apple one. I don't know. You can't tell very easily. But the bottom line is a lot of the companies that are Chinese companies or elsewhere making smartwatches are making multi-$100 ones and $10 ones. That's interesting. They've got the technology, they've got the factory, and they can start another factory anytime they want. We've been looking at these. Last month I reviewed $10 and $15 ones. This is a much fancier one for $25 more than the $10 one. And you get there with a couple of tricks. First of all, COSPET has good ads and they tell you all about it. What happened? It's not $35. Well, they're being sold by a lot of places, each one of which buys them wholesale and sells them retail, and they can set their own price. You will find cheaper prices than this for COSPET. I think you'll find $40, including shipping handling, about the best you can do this week on this model. And what I can tell you is that it's so good. And Jill and I are both using them and enjoying them a lot. Well, that's the COSPET, but it's not a COSPET. It's coming off that Incognito production line, I think in China, although this might be the one that was coming from Singapore. I'm not quite sure there, which is sort of China and sort of not. Anyway, the secret is, as I said, you could also look it up under the secret word C17. Look a little similar? Right down to the pictures? It is. And here it is. You can buy one for $33. If you want to buy a pair of them, it's less than $30. The price, by the way, just went down in the last day or two. Oh, wait a minute. This might be a catch. Let me look. No, it's not. You can get it in black. Cost you a little more, won't it? That's the good deal, I said, for the COSPET. And it is. But instead of buying that, if you buy, no, I'm sorry, 3 comes to about the same price. If you buy the Secret C17, oh, but this week they only have it with a pink color. You may not like it, but your wife will. And here it is. But they have it in black. We have it in black. They just, I think, are out for this week. And pricing, lovely. So the secret is C17. Look around for it. And there may be other brands like COSPET that also sell it. I know there's a few others that I know. But once you find the watch, just look down for similar things down below. If you're using eBay like I am, you start finding other ones that are remarkably similar. This is another COSPET design, but not the one I'm talking about. And that isn't either. But somewhere in there, you'll find more of those. And you'll find a lot of information on it in here, for example. And if you got $35 for 2/3 of an Apple 7, go for it. But read it first, of course. We're quite pleased.
Heart rate, blood pressure.
It's got almost everything you could want except for the speaker and the microphone. it hooks to your smartphone for those, and it'll tell you when they have a call and that sort of thing. So it's pretty resilient, but it had good blood oxygen monitoring. I would say it's as good as the professional stuff from our tests in the two that we've sampled, and other people say it's that good. On some other things, it's not that accurate, but on that, it was particularly accurate.
It's supposed to tell you how much you've slept, and that is way off.
Either it's way off or we're way off. We're not sure which is which. But it's not inaccurate per se. It just has extra turns we didn't expect. But it does pretty well on it. So trade-offs. And when you hook it to a smartphone, iPhone or Android, it has a very nice app that's available. It doesn't come from it, works well with it, and it'll give you weekly reports and graphs and stuff like that. And it's a hell of a lot for $30 for two of them.
Is
30
that
each.
app putting your data in the cloud?
No, you do not have to do that. So that was part of my attraction to it. You put the DoffFit app on your smartphone, and only the two are talking. You can link it to the cloud, and we don't, just like you. So look over the write-ups, and you'll find them in those two flavors and more once you know what you're looking for. And look for those images once you see them. And you'll notice that it has this black ring instead of the usual buckle. That is a little swiveling ring, and that's characteristic. And notice it has two retaining grips for the strap going through. And as a result, it can hold pretty short and pretty long strap sizes. If you have a thin wrist or a big one, it's almost bound to fit. And they have the dimensions in the write-up. We were very happy. We got it delivered from California, and it arrived in something like 3 or 4 days. They were very quick. So we gave you the link that we liked on the right, and one that we thought was good reading material on the left. And you can also find it quickly in Amazon for a different set of good reading tips on it and comments. They're good on things like that for the comment, but they won't get down to that price unless they've just changed. So there you have it. On that little piece, you can hook up to your computer through your phone or maybe through the watch. We haven't worked on that one yet. And we thought it was quite a treat. The flea at MIT, Bill mentioned, and it's not just one time. It's coming up on April 17th, 2 Saturdays away, but it's going to be repeating through the summer and the fall.
Sundays.
Third
Sunday of the month.
Looking right at it. I wasn't there yet. So this is getting announced today, but it's going to be every month for quite a while to come. And in addition to that, where's the one I put in? I know it's nearby. Fun. Here we go. Science on State Street is in Framingham. Now you know where in Framingham. It's part of Framingham State University. We have good connections there, and we've enjoyed their operations at the McAuliffe Center, which is their planetarium with good talks. So if we want, we've got a table for our group to exhibit on this big exhibit day, indoors and outdoors, and it's a science festival. Kids and grown-ups and experts and beginners will be there because they're interested in science, and there'll be a lot of exhibits, some of which will interest you. And there will be people running those exhibits who will be taking turns walking around to look at the other ones. So, including ours. So, what I'd like is to get enough volunteers so half of them at least can be roaming around at any given hour and enjoying the place, and bring your computer and show off what it can do with FOSS. I think everyone who has a computer can show something different or 5 things different. I think it'll be a ball. And email me now or later if you would like to be in on the group at our table. I'd love to have a big group and have half of them just free to do whatever they want, or to kibitz on the ones that are there. It sounds like a fun day no matter how you slice it. And it's only 3 hours in the warm part of the day. And by April 30th, I predict it'll be a lovely day. If not, they've got plenty of indoor space.
And
they
may give you a free T-shirt. They gave us free T-shirts.
Oh, right, for the exhibitors. They feed the exhibitors. I don't know if that's true this year, but I'll bet it is. So anyway, look it over, enjoy. Also note their planetarium's schedule, because that's kind of fun. And it's inexpensive. I think it's $5 for what's usually a very good show. And by the way, there's parking, unlike most of the planetariums I know these days. So there you go. I hope a bunch of people will show up and have a good time. Let's call it our own extra outdoor meeting as well. Why not? So back to the fun on the main screen.
Yeah, I'll be there.
Great. I think we're going to get it. This just sounds like too good a deal, and we'll just spread our own stuff and more. If there's 2 more groups there doing something like us, all the better. What a nice synergy. Let's see. Got that one covered. What else is coming next? We've got done. Dennis, are you ready?
Yep.
I hope you make it fairly short because it's 10:05, and I really want to do the rest, but give it a good shot too. Here we go. You have to get out again or not?
Yes.
Hell.
Sounds like somebody's frying bacon or running water.
That may be my computer.
Well, I have it open now. Is that what I want for Dennis?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you see my screen now?
I am indeed seeing you, or at least your screen.
All right. So every year there is a community challenge called the 7-Day Roguelike Challenge, and the concept is that there was a game a long time ago called Rogue, where you had ASCII characters for the artwork. So like a pound symbol would be a wall, and then the dot would be used to show squares you can walk on. And so they had this very distinctive style to them, and they were very hard games. And they eventually became known as roguelike games based on the original game being called Rogue. And so every year they do a challenge for people to create roguelike games in 7 days. Now this year, some 200 entries were in.
Wow.
So it's a pretty big game jam, not as big as some others, but it's still pretty big. I've been meaning to enter for a long time, and this year I finally remembered about it beforehand. And so I created Shadowstone Solar. Now, I violate some of the conventions of a roguelike. So oftentimes it's turn-based. Mine is not, mainly because it's a network game. And so it's really annoying to play a network game where you have to wait for the other person to respond before you can do anything. It works with a controller. So you can plug in like a PlayStation or an Xbox controller and control it. There are keyboard commands. They're not necessarily good, but you can also configure the keyboard commands if you want. When you start the server, it immediately starts the game. And so you arrive on this planet and you need to explore around. You can throw out these glow sticks to light up areas. So you're trying to mine all these blue blocks. And then bugs show up that try to kill you. And then once you've finished mining out all the areas you can see, you'll need to go over and mine to a different opening and try to find some more of the mineral that you need. Now it is a network game, so if you had other people, they could join in and play with you. Now this is all the game idea is basically from a commercial game that I play called Deep Rock Galactic.
Click on this link and you're going to see, like with a YouTube general lookup, a lot of things you can click on. And I think half of them look like they're valuable. And on a quick glance, and I can't tell you more until I take a long glance, most of them are fairly short. Then they lead to other things that are longer. Useful, I think. Leaked crypto dreams. What happened here is really interesting. Russia invaded the Ukraine. As we talked about earlier, Ukraine came right back at them. And on cyber anyway, it looks like Ukraine is just about as sophisticated. And this ransom gang that's been affecting people in the US and in Europe and beyond, they already made that much money on ransom that we know about. Lord knows how much we don't know about. And a Ukrainian crypto guy joined the group, worked with it for a while, and then leaked all the best stuff from them. This is a pretty good article on it, and there's more. There's a lot more. So it's a bit of a look inside. This is a flip side of the same coin. This is a deep fake video that looks like maybe you should believe it, but it's attacking the Ukrainian president. It's the crypto going in the other direction on what's a crypto war going on.
Dick, pause. Algot has said, and now there's a little corner video of you down here. I don't know how you did that. And it says, with that in there, the agenda is very fuzzy. And that's true on mine also.
Oh.
So how do we get rid of that?
I don't know.
Little picture down there.
If you click on the video icon to turn off the video, that should turn it off. For
the moment, that should work. Did it work?
Yes.
That's where I was going too, but I have to turn it back on shortly. Okay. So you have both sides in action exposed. This ransomware gang, by the way, is clearly Russian linked, and you'll learn more about that too. So you're seeing both sides of that one. And scam bombards victims with spam to hide fraudulent credit card purchases. This is a very new one. I couldn't find a name for it a day or two ago. Didn't look today. So maybe it'll link to more than it did by now. But it looked very interesting, and that we ought to learn what to do about these. When people can get your password, they can get a lot, including your money that's in the banks. If you've given permission for computer transfers, and finally,
No,
What?
you skipped the one about Zelensky.
no, I didn't. That's the flip side of the first one.
Oh,
Um, So the only remaining one is this one, and it's an argument for just plain losing passwords, doing something different instead, because passwords are getting caught in so many ways these days, often through third parties, all kinds of things going on. So this will be a very interesting read for the techie people in the crowd, and maybe for some others. And think about it. Maybe we'll have some suggestions for next month for follow-up for some of these items. That's all I wanted to get in, and we made it almost on schedule. Are there any questions, answers, announcements, things that we ought to do this month instead of next?
Dick, I do have an answer to Jerry's question about Flatpak. Yes, it does virtualize. Yes, it does use a daemon.
Okay. Would you and Jerry please send me if there's any other link I should put in or something, or just leave it alone? Either way.
I'll send details.
Excellent. Sounds good. And we later tonight, but not very early, we'll start working on this. We've got a 7:00 meeting and a dinner and a few other things in mind. But by tomorrow morning, you should have it all up online with an announcement in your email. So thank you very much for attending, and thank you very much for teaching us things too. What a nice way to do business. See you next month, and maybe a lot of times in between. Goodbye.
Thank you and good evening.
Cheers.
Thank you, Dick.
You're very welcome.